Doug Morris with CSI. Thanks for joining today. Today is an iDocument best practices and product overview, and we're going to be introducing a new product that we are repping here called FinditEZ. So your time's valuable, so let's get going. As you know, we do these webinars primarily for our customers, customers that own iMerge, our duplicate merge product, iEmail, Outlook integration, our national change of address product, which is for the United States only, meeting closer or event closer, as we like to call it overseas, freight rate importer, same sort of thing for North America only to bring in freight rates into iMIS. iImport, our tool for importing and updating records in iMIS. iMap, our geolocation tool. Activity Importer Plus for bringing in and updating activities as well as creating with an IQA. iDonate, our online giving portal. Page Filter, our ability to edit and make Rise do amazing things that it was never intended to do. Profile Editor, our high-end profile maintenance tool. Fundraising Made Easy for editing posted gifts, and of course, iDocument. So, you know, I was trying to think of something people don't like doing. I know there are some people out there that enjoy this, but I really don't run into too many people that like cleaning their house. It's just not something a whole lot of people enjoy, but I do know that a lot of people like having a clean house. I personally hate cleaning, but I love coming home to a clean house. So I'll tell you it's probably somewhere in between depending on the day. And documenting your iMIS database is kind of like cleaning your house. It's not that much fun. So this presentation today is kind of focused on some interesting ways that you can attack this process. We've had a lot of clients that say, you know, I've bought the product, or I don't want to buy the product because it's going to make me do a lot of work. So we thought we'd start this session and focus on where do you start. Our recommended best practice is to just start slow, right? Build on everything you know. And the easiest thing to start documenting are your custom activities in iMIS or even the default iMIS activities. From there, you can go to your demographic windows. And then you might want to start on some of your reports. And those get to be a little fun. And so we'll talk about some interesting ways to attack those. One of the things that's a good idea is to share the wealth. No one likes cleaning their house themselves, so get some friends to help you do it. And the best way to do that is to get your coworkers to do it because they know the system better than anyone. And so I'm going to show you a couple tricks and ways that you can actually involve them in documenting your database. Really, the first thing is to just put some kind of note out there, as Jake, our developer of the product, likes to say, some sort of metadata out there. In this case, I've gone into the award activity, I've clicked on code, and I've clicked down here and said, hey, Diana, update this one. By doing that, it marks it with an I. And so now you could go in and mark the activities you actually want to be documented, if you will. And you can even apply someone's name to them, and they could search on their own name and find the data that they're supposed to be populating. Maybe Diana is the one that likes to fill out the award activities, or she's the one that uses them in iMIS. So let her document that activity. That's a really powerful thing. So you're going to actually go through and pick a couple activities and go from there. You can do the same thing with the user-defined windows, and you can even do the same thing in reports. The next best tip we have for you is to start work on your business objects and IQAs. If you're not on 20 yet, or you are about to start to go to 20, or even if you're on 20, you know or will learn quickly that they are the foundation to everything that is in iMIS. And our best practices and our recommendations there are to make it a rule to document any business object or IQA you create. If you tell someone, hey, you know, you're now creating your own IQAs, that's great. We're really proud of you. If you create an IQA, we want to have it added to iDocument. Remember, iDocument is licensed per organization. You can throw it on everyone's machine if you want. I'm going to share some traits from Jody O'Toole here a little bit later in the presentation. Jody actually, we thought iDocument was about making documentation. What's really happening is it's turning into It's turning into a product that you just go in to find what you're looking for and or update on the fly. So people are actually using it in more of a live state rather than let's create static documentation. After you've got you've made a run on your activities in your user-defined windows and touched on your reports, and now you've got people creating your IQAs and business objects, the documentation. You really want to get into the SQL jobs. We think this is a really powerful part of our iDocument, and that's because it allows the end user to check the status of the jobs, and that's super powerful. Hey, why didn't this update? I've got things that happen every night, and nothing happened last night. Let the end user peer into what's happening behind the scenes. But the next most important part of having your SQL jobs documented is that they are always affected by upgrades. So those jobs need to be documented, because if you're going to do your upgrade yourself or have your solution provider help you, it's important that they and or you know every job that's out there, because a lot of them won't be needed anymore as you move to iMIS 20. I'm reminded of a badge script we had way back when for iMIS. The title, I believe, would get erased from the badge whether you were when you edited an event. And so we had a little script out there to put the title back, and it said disable after 15.3. I think that script ran up until just recently because no one had ever documented those SQL jobs. So this is a piece of documentation that's very powerful to have as you continue down your iMIS side of things. SQL jobs can call stored procedures and or other fun things, and so that's the next thing you're going to want to create. And you might need some assistance from your solution provider if they were the ones that created all of those. And the first time you use iDocument, you're going to see every stored procedure in iMIS. Don't forget you can actually click on that little change button and filter almost anything in iDocument, tables, views, stored procedures, so you only see the stuff you want to see. If you're a client of ours, you happen to know that most of your stored procedures are going to start with CSI. So just click on that change and select CSI, and you're going to find everything that starts with CSI. So we talk about the elephant in the room. We've all got one. It's those that have been using iMIS forever. You have so many reports. It's like that dirty closet you just don't want to attack. You know it needs to be cleaned, and you just don't have the energy to do it because you don't know what reports are used. You don't know which ones aren't used. One of the jokes I had a long time ago was shut off all reports in iMIS and see who complains about which report. That's a good way to know. But here's the challenge. You need to start thinking about moving these from Crystal to SSRS as you transition to iMIS 20. And that's going to be a big deal. And you need to know, why waste your time on a report that's not being used? Ultimately, you're probably really scared to go and tackle this side of things. So I'm going to introduce you to a product called FinditEZ. I was lucky enough to be introduced to this product by one of my customers. We've established a great relationship over the last couple months. I believe it is a great add-on to iDocument. And we tried to actually make it an add-on to iDocument. Unfortunately, it's just going to work out a little better if you're the one buying it. Because otherwise we've got our maintenance agreements aren't in sync and all those fun things. But let me tell you a little bit about FinditEZ. The first cool thing is it can do is it can search inside your Crystal reports. iDocument can search inside your database, and so can FinditEZ. But FinditEZ can go inside your Crystal reports, and that's something iDocument can't do. So it'll look for specific words, a stored procedure that you might be calling, table views, etc., that could be in a Crystal report. From there, you can identify the reports that need to be documented. You can jump back into iDocument and say, I need to document this. And there's even more you can do with it, okay? You can use FinditEZ to search your Access databases. So we still have a client or two that uses Access for all the reporting, and you can use FinditEZ for that. It'll go out and look on your local and network folders for things like Excel, Word, PDF, text, data files. So it's looking in those files for the words that you're searching for. You can also, or will be able to shortly, search inside of SSRS reports. So we'll have iDocument handling those, and we'll have FinditEZ able to search them as well. And then just like iDocument, FinditEZ will search your entire iMIS database. FinditEZ is a really powerful product. It searches all sorts of fun things, and that's kind of complex. So we asked them to make it iMIS aware. So when you start up FinditEZ, there's a little button there that says iMIS Stack. That's their fancy term for turn on the iMIS options, if you will. You can see right here that FinditEZ does all sorts of fun things like DB2 for Linux, MySQL, you know, all SAP dashboard stuff you're not going to be using. And so when you click on that iMIS Stack, it's going to check the items that most iMIS users need. So let's start documenting. I'm going to just briefly go into iDocument, and I'm going to show you, excuse me, how to mark those activities, the windows and reports for documentation. Quickly document a couple easy ones. We're going to look at the SQL jobs just to make sure you remember how that works. We'll touch on stored procedures, and then we're going to face the elephant in the room, and we're going to kick its butt. All right, so let's go. So I'm going to jump into iDocument. I'm in it now. Here is an appointment activity. Here's a dues activity. Here's a function. Here's a gift. Here's a letter. And then here's that award activity that actually went out here, clicked on code, and told Diana to update. This is a pretty straightforward activity that someone could and should document, right? We have a code. We have a description, you know. Description of award winner, manually populated. This is powerful stuff because when you transition, when you hire someone new, iDocument can actually be used to train those new people. Service date, what does that mean? You can actually go in there and explain what service date might mean to anybody looking at this for the first time. Things like that. Populated by data conversion notes. I don't think a lot of people use those, but remember iDocument can be used if you're new to iMIS and you're actually documenting all of your conversions. So popular stuff. Same thing with user windows. You can just go in here, document each one of them. It's very straightforward, not bad. Let's talk about the jobs because I think those are really, really important. I'm going to actually jump out of here because I populated some jobs here and I forgot to relaunch iDocument, so I'm going to relaunch it here. My initial demo this morning this morning in the States, I had forgotten on my brand new laptop to throw in some SQL jobs, so I'm hoping they're going to be there now. We'll see right now. Good. Now I can use this one. Here's my hourly jobs. They're not really documented, but it will tell me what's being run, and it tells me how often it's run. It tells me when it was created, last run. This is the most powerful thing, and then tells you if the job was successful. So even if you don't use iDocument to document these things, it's good to use it to find out, are they running and what's going on out there. Same thing with stored procedures. You're going to document any stored procedures out here. Coming in our next release is this cool little button, View Source. So if you really wanted to see what was in that stored procedure, you can actually click on that button and it'll show you what's in there. So that's pretty cool. But I said we really got to face the elephant in the room, and that's all of our reports, right? We've got to look at those. If I look at a given client's Crystal Reports folder, it might look something like this. In fact, this is stolen from one of my clients. Here are all of their Crystal Reports. I'm not even sure. I only grabbed one directory's worth. It might have even just been their foundation. You can imagine how much fun it might be to document all of these. And I'm going to bet you don't need to document half of those, right? So, but I'm going to show you how to use FinditEZ. The first thing I happen to know, so let's go ahead and start up FinditEZ. When it jumps in, it pops you into a wizard because it thinks you probably are looking to find something. So here it is. What do you want to search for? A specific database object, a code snippet, a variable, database objects, you know, all SQL code or whatever. I'm not going to do that because I've actually gone out here and done a search. And this is the cool thing. You can save your searches and their results. So I did a search for everything, and I was looking for the word annual. Because my first step was, let's find everything that deals with the annual fund for our foundation. So I did a search on my entire database for the word annual, and here are my results. So the first thing I see is there's an alum dues bill, right? That is alumni dues bill. There's nothing in there that has anything to do with my fundraising. I can right mouse click on that and say, I'm done with that one. So this way I can save this and I can assign it to someone and say, I've gone through all the reports. I can't figure out which ones are using the annual fund. But if we go into any one of these, there we go, FR members donors. If I double click it, it actually fires it up in Crystal and I can see what's going on with this report. It is the annual fund listing. From here I can jump right back into iDocument and I can document what that is for. Notice it dug a little deeper and it actually found a script that was buried out there as well. It's our annual fund report and it's a PVP view, right? So it's a view out there. Then it went into iMIS and it found all the table definitions and stored procedures that had things. So look, organizational demo, what's that all about? I can go ahead and double click that. What it does is it fires up SQL, cancel, and I can see, annual revenue. That's not an annual I'm looking for. I'm looking for annual funds, so I can get out of there as well. So pretty powerful stuff. It's digging in, it's finding the stuff. You can see the SQL Server reporting is coming. I could have also said search inside Excel, Word, and PDFs. I didn't do that. And I don't have Access installed on my machine, so it tells me no there. So some really cool stuff you can do with FinditEZ here in terms of digging in to your database. It's not just about finding stuff in your database, it's finding stuff on your servers. So we're pretty excited about that. Oops. Okay, so what's coming in iDocument? One of the things, like I've mentioned, these are for our customers. We've added the ability to document some things, such as panel sources. So if you are using iMIS 20, you will have the ability to document those. Panel definitions and triggers. I'll prove it right now. It's in this early release that I have here. Here are my panel definitions. So these are, you can't even find this stuff in iMIS yet. They're adding it to the next release of iMIS. And it's the ability to find all of my panels that I've defined out there. And those panels, of course, are built on sources here. And so here are all the sources for my panels out there. Like I said, iMIS is adding this so you can see all of your panels in one area. But today you can't get that out of iMIS. If you create a brand new panel on a website, you better remember it. So with iDocument, you're going to actually be able to identify where that panel is at and then what it actually does. So that's pretty cool. And then here's our triggers as well. So it'll find every trigger in your system when it's ready, and you can actually view the source of that trigger. This is super powerful. We have a lot of clients that are like, something weird is happening with my iMIS. I don't understand it. When we say, do you have a trigger on that table? You'll be able to go right in there and check it very easily and see what trigger you have and who created it. So this was originally called Be a Rockstar, where I was going to offer up and say, hey, is anybody on the phone that's using iDocument in a cool way? And I just didn't have the guts. So I reached out to Jody O'Toole. She's a real user of both products. She actually is the one that turned us on to FinditEZ, and she uses iDocument as well. If you haven't met Jody O'Toole, that's her right there on the right. This was a little Halloween costume thing they did here in the States a couple years ago, and she accidentally sent me the picture. She will probably never do that again. So that is her and her geeky friends at Pi Beta Phi, you know, wearing the iMIS logos, loud and proud. Jody gave me a couple scenarios that she uses the product. These are in her words. We'll talk about them really briefly. Her first scenario is she's at her organization, they have hundreds of volunteers, and these volunteers are very good at picking new strategies. They like to suddenly change committee positions and titles and their corresponding codes. And if you've been using iMIS for a while, you've got some reports that use that. You might have a stored procedure or two. And, you know, there's a lot with just changing a simple committee position code. You've got to add the new code. You've got to update the committee activity. That's pretty straightforward. But what about all the views, crystal reports, ad hocs, and stored procedures? What she does is she makes an Excel spreadsheet by using iDocument, and then she splits out the duties amongst the staff. The change, because they actually get an idea of that code. Well, that code is permeated system, and so now you get to go ahead and help us figure out everywhere it's at. And then for Crystal and stored procedures, she knows she's looking for a field. She's looking for the position code, which I think might be action codes and activity. And that can also be a parameter fed to stored proc. So it appears everywhere. And she's using iDocument with a touch of FinditEZ when she needs to change something in depth like this. This is a really, really interesting usage is she does a lot of exports for direct mail providers, and these providers go crazy if she forgets and leaves the time on a date field. In fact, they'll reject it. They won't even take it. So she actually notes wherever the fields that actually have time on them, she can do a quick search in iDocument, find all those fields, and know that anytime she exports that spreadsheet, she needs to go out there and adjust it and change it to a date only and not a date time. So this is a little reminder. She's using the product reminder of the fields that have time on them. Scenario 3. This is where Jody's organization uses something called activity-based membership. Activity-based membership is when they create an activity in iMIS, and that drives other things to happen, such as a person changing a member type, such as a person, being nominated for something. And so when they get new staff, the staff say, well, what activity do I create when I want to change this person to a new member type? Rather than writing up training goals, they actually used iDocument for their training. Scenario 4. This is a little similar to the last one. This is what happens when you switch consultants or you lose your DBA. You panic, right? But wait a minute. If you've been using iDocument, right, you probably went back and started with the design document. If you had a design document when you first implemented iMIS, that's a good starting point. It's probably slightly out of date. But you should have gone in there and used iDocument and use it as the original starting point to populate iDocument. So you don't have to jump back to your original documentation. You use iDocument. And then every time she does a training for internal processes and procedures, she actually uses iDocument to document it rather than creating static Word documents. Special requests by membership departments and whatnot, those are also documented. So she starts with iDocument. And just like cleaning your house, if you're picking up after yourself on a regular basis, the house stays clean. And so in this case, your database stays clean. So thanks to Jody, that's a much better picture of her and her husband. I didn't want to include her husband Bart in there. Nothing against Bart, but I wanted to make it all about Jody. But that was the best picture I could find. So Bart gets to be a star here as well. If you'd like to see the new version of iDocument will be available next month. We're wrapping up. It's going to be in testing shortly. FinditEZ has several products. We're actually going to do a webinar on this coming up in a month or two. The product I showed today is called Code Search Pro Desktop. And it's best if you buy it direct from FinditEZ at this time. As an iDocument user, you can use the coupon code of CSI and save 5% off. The product is only $369 US with an annual software rate of $99. So if you use that product, you'll save 5% off the purchase price. They do have another product called DevSurge. DevSurge does some really cool stuff, like it will do comparisons between database schemas. So if you're on iMIS 20.1 and going to 20.2 and really want to see what changes, it'll actually do a diff on each of those and tell you what changed. DevSurge is a little more money and it's a subscription base, but it's still pretty cool. So last but not least, as always, we want to hear your suggestions. If you had a great idea, email us at support. We are doing more webinars like this, and you can find out at our webinars. We have had previous ones, including one today, and that's also at the webinars spot as well. I'll turn it over. If there are any questions, you can go ahead and fire them off. The last one was so good we didn't have any of them, but just in case, I'll open it up if there's any questions out there. And I'm not seeing any, which is good. I'm going to go get a haircut. I look good. But anyway, if you do have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And there's Jody's email as well. If you want to reach out to her for some tips or tricks on how she's using either of these products, I'm sure she would be happy to help you. So thanks again for giving up part of your afternoon and or your morning. I really appreciate it. And we will chat with you soon. Bye.